battle lines have been drawn in the race to become Cape Town mayor. Dan Plato, who is currently at the helm, took over from previous mayors Patricia de Lille and Helen Zille. In a letter to the DA's Cape Town caucus, Plato outlined that his experience with local government will provide the sense of continuity that the mother city needs. The provincial leader of the party, who is also the MEC for Transport and Public Works, Bonginkosi Madikizela, says that Cape Town is experiencing difficulties under Plato's leadership.
The flagship, which is the city of Cape Town, which we use, the Democratic Alliance, as a launching pad to win the province and to be a dominant force across the country, is really starting to face a number of challenges that I believe, can be addressed. Of course, I mean, I understand, Artie, that there are a number of challenges that are not the city's constitutional mandate. I mean, your policing, it's one of the big problems, gang violence in the city, your rail, transport. But you need a mayor that is a bridge builder.
Madikizela says weakening governance in Cape Town under Plato is one of the reasons why he raised his hand to be the new mayor.
We cannot afford a situation where we become confrontational about the challenges that we are facing with both spheres, which is national and provincial.
What do you mean confrontation?
Let me be frank that part of the reason why I put my hand up, because as I said, I was part of the people who believed in the current mayor. And of course, I mean, I'm not here to talk about any other person but myself. And we've been working, very well for some time as provincial government in the city of Cape Town. But there are tensions, if I can be frank, Artie, in the administration, where you start to pick up, from the administration, I mean, at the official level, an attitude that says, don't touch me on my studio. Now, we can't afford to have that.
So do you think that those trends that you speak of, those confrontational trends that you've identified in the current space in the city, are they a hindrance to the work that needs to be done by the city in as far as delivering those services, if there are going to be people who are going to utter things like, don't touch me in my studio?
Of course. All three spheres of government need each other to succeed. That is why, I mean, you would remember way back when I was the MEC of Human Settlements, I think one of my strengths has always been to build relationship with my counterparts, whether it's nationally or locally, because for us, the very first step to address challenges that are faced by communities is that political leaders must put their politics aside and start focusing on what matters.
How are you going to be able to then separate the politics, you being the provincial leader of the party in a province that is big when it comes to the DA, and then being mayor?
But as I said, I mean, you manage those things. You manage your diary in such a way that you are able to fulfill your responsibilities as the provincial leader and travel across the province to do your work as the provincial leader. I mean, it's not something new, I mean, Artie. And you'll remember that, in fact, the very first mayor of the DA in 2006 went on and became our federal leader, not even the provincial leader, national leader, which was Helen. And I worked with Helen for years, and I must say, I mean, I learned some very valuable lessons on how to strike the balance between your political responsibilities and, of course, your government responsibilities. And you must understand that, I mean, even currently, I'm the MEC of the entire province, and I still have to play my role as a provincial leader in the entire province.
Have you spoken to Helen about your decision now to raise your hand for the candidature?
Yes, I have. But I must be honest.
How did that conversation pan out?
No, I mean, it was a courtesy to inform her. But, of course, I don't want to compromise Helen. You must understand that Helen is the chairperson of the Federal Council, and because she's the chairperson of the Federal Council, she also presides over the selection panels of the Metro Mayors. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to put her in a position where she has that kind of a conversation with the candidate. But of course, I mean, as someone that I've worked with for years, I mean, and a colleague, it was a courtesy for me to inform her, and obviously the applications are received by her office.
What was her reaction?
Well, she wished me well. I mean, just like I believe all other candidates. And I have faith in our internal processes. And she wished me well, and of course, she expects me to prepare thoroughly and present a compelling case before the selection panel.
Another DA member who also worked closely with Zille is the party's finance spokesperson and member of parliament, Geordin Hill-Lewis. Lewis, who was the chief of staff during Zille's tenure as Premier of the Western Cape, is also vying for the top position.
We have to put aside consider obsession with the genetics or the skin color, the pigment of a person, and start focusing on what their heart is, what their character is, and what do they plan to bring to the job, what is their vision and their offer. And I hope that if people do that, they won't mind what community or what ethnic background I come from. They will care that I am a passionate Cape Townian and South African, and I really, really want to make this place work.
Lewis says he also wants to debunk the narrative that the city works for residents in affluent areas and neglects people in disadvantaged communities.
But I don't think that we are aggressive enough in showing that it isn't true. And so what I'd really love to do is focus a lot of time on getting basic services improved in the poorest communities so that we can show, not just in word, but in deed, that narrative is not true. And of course, ultimately, that's what politics should be about in South Africa, improving the quality of lives of those people who struggle the most.
Lewis says his experience with communities also counts in his benefit in the mayoral race.
Part of the reason I got into this race is because I really am very passionate about improving the quality of lives for those people who need it the most. And all of my career, that is where I've worked, in Cape Town, in Philippi and Kosovo and Crossroads and Kailicha, Site C and so on. And then later in the northern part of the city, in Joe Slovo, Dunoon, Phoenix, all the poorer parts of the city. And they have differing challenges, and many of them similar challenges. And, this is what keeps me up at night. This is what I really am passionate about working on. And anyone who has worked with me in those communities will tell you that once I've, grabbed hold of something, I don't let it go until it's solved.
On Monday, all three candidates will appear before an internal DA panel. A selection process will then unfold, and then the party will officially announce its chosen applicant. The candidate will then be able to go out and campaign for the Cape Town mayoral position ahead of the local government elections later this year. For Newsroom Africa on Channel 405, I'm Atim Tongana in Cape Town.